What's up, guys? Welcome to Drink Up a Richie Tea. I'm hanging out at Altstadt Brewing right now. About to go hang out with the master brewers and talk a lot of cool shop. Make sure you guys are subscribing, hitting that little ding, commenting, let me know where you want me to go next. And just watching Instagram and Twitter. We're posting something new every single day. Doing a podcast for Food and Beverage Magazine that you can find on all platforms. But right now, let's go in and let's drink up. What's up, guys? I'm hanging out with Dustin. We just jumped up in here at Altstadt, and he's giving us a little tour of the area before we hang out with the master brewers and everything. So keep following along.
Right over here, we got the restaurant, one of our sitting areas, and bartenders. You can sit right here at the bar. Bartenders take good care of you guys. Right down this way, we got the banquet hall.
Banquet hall. Headed to the beer garden.
We got this patio up here. Awesome. We got another little patio up front, and then food service downstairs. Everyone can just hang out, umbrellas, patio area, nice chill out area.
It's a beautiful spot.
We actually just had about 117 people back here yesterday. We just had a wedding, and there was the banquet hall and back here.
Holding weddings, private events back here. It's an awesome, beautiful, it's like a castle in here. Guys, about to walk in here, hanging out with Craig and Jon, master brewing chemists. We're gonna walk in, chill with them. They're gonna give us a little background tour of everything that they do and all the cool stuff that they're making. What's up, Richie? So, let's go through some cool stuff, man, and start telling people what they're missing out on not coming here.
What they're missing out on? Oh man, well, we are at Altstadt Brewery, are a traditional German brewery. Traditional in every aspect except for the fact we're in Texas, not Germany. And so what that means is essentially we're guided by the Reinheitsgebot rules. So yeah, rules, that's important. So we can only use malt, hops, water, and yeast in our beer.
Four things, that's it.
We'll break that every once in a while, but not on any of our main stuff.
Yeah.
But it's really cool, and it's a nice challenge to get all these. We've done about 24 different styles of beer just with those 4 ingredients, running the gambit of color, hops, malt, alcohol content, all sorts of different flavors and styles, and it's really cool. It's fun to be limited in some ways.
Yeah, because it makes you expand into creating, being creative.
Yeah, you come up with some pretty cool stuff when you're told what you can do and what you can use. It forces your hand to be creative.
Oh, big time. How long have you been brewing?
Geez, I'm in my 12th year now.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I was with the Avita Brewing Company for a little over 9 years, and then I came here in early 2017.
Awesome.
So got my start doing German lagers there. So it was really a good fit. So German beers have been my expertise in the field. So
It's awesome.
it's been a nice fit. Which one is that? Is that the Vienna?
Most popular.
Is it?
What I was told.
Which bartender told you that?
One of them over there.
It's so I would probably say the Kolsch is
probably white.
Yeah, so this is pretty standard Brewhouse. It's one of those that you've seen it before, but it's a little different. It's a Rolex system from Germany. All German equipment. It was actually flown in and then constructed by German brewmasters.
Definitely unique to a lot of the other breweries around these areas because you're not going to have a lot. You have actually all German equipment.
Yes, yeah. So and again, the German brewmasters and engineers came and built this equipment for us. So it's pretty good stuff. We're very happy with it. I think so. First two ingredients go into the mash tun. The barley and the water mix. Middle vessel, the lauter tun.
Yep.
Separate the wort from the grain, and then we pour it off in the third vessel. So we come in, you guys can take peeks inside. There's nothing cool in there right now. It's
Nice and clean.
clean stainless steel. This one's getting cleaned today.
Once you're brewing, that's a big deal.
Yeah, so this is our cleaning day.
Super sanitized.
So sanitation, cleanliness is important on the brew side. Sanitation, not so much, because all the sanitation happens in here.
All right.
Everything boiled kills all those bad guys that we don't want. So this one we just want to make sure it's clean. That's
Yeah,
the main
big time.
thing. But boy, that is about 90% of brewing is cleaning.
Yeah.
Maybe 95%. That's what it is. While we're up here, a little different. Something we do a little different than most breweries in Texas. It happens a lot more in Germany. That door that says no admittance, we'll admit you. All right. Mainly because nothing interesting's in there today. So, this is an open fermentation room. These two vessels are for mainly Hefeweizen. All the Hefeweizen we do ferments in here. Open fermentation is fantastic for all the characteristics of the yeast. It doesn't have a closed tank, so the CO2 doesn't inhibit the yeast in any way. The yeast never have to struggle. They just go to town during fermentation, and you get all those clove and banana, slight bubblegum flavors that some people pick up. They are very prevalent. So prevalent, in fact, we have to ferment it a little cooler than most American breweries will ferment a Hefeweizen. But it really creates a really great flavor, and we're really proud of it. And it's a lot of work, so
Yeah,
it better be good.
Oh, it'll be good.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Hefeweizens. Also, a really cool thing that y'all are, on the scale, y'all are creating beer.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't see that. They see, like, a lot of people are doing micro beers at home, little brews. Y'all are doing on a big, way bigger scale.
Yeah.
How many think y'all are putting out? I mean, how many beers, how much gallons of beer are you making? What do you think a week?
Oh, wheat?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Like, now you're going to make me do math. So, this isn't me being rude, it's a calculator. So let's see. At the moment, we're doing about 15,500 gallons of beer in production a week. That's set to double as early as January.
Yeah.
So it's keeping us busy. I mean, it's a nice brewery, but every brewery has their limitations, and we're going to meet ours pretty quick.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Take it to the next step after that.
Well, let's go back to the actual brewing. So if you look at these two vessels right here, we can actually look inside and see this nice old rolling technology. So, next month we're going to brew on this guy, and it'll be the first time that this system has been brewed on about 90 years. So this was actually pulled out of a Bavarian brewhouse that was shut down at the end of the 30s in Germany due to some historical event.
Yeah.
You can Google that one for yourselves.
Yeah,
but it hasn't been brewed on since then.
That's crazy.
So
So a
we
little
are
nervous, but a little like excited. Big time excited.
more just annoyed because it's a huge pain in the ass. But it'll be cool.
That's the old school.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Very manual.
very manual.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tinkering you got to do.
Yeah, to make sure everything's
Just to
precise.
get just to get a beer coming out of this
more
to
authentic.
taste like it comes out of there. Ownership built this place. They built it because they couldn't get German beer that they love so much in Germany.
Like fresh like
Couldn't
that.
get it here. They
That
had to get
travel
it,
time,
travel
man.
across the Atlantic, which I mean it kills it. And most of the American styles of German beers were Americanized. I mean they're very good, but it's really hard to get a true European
That traditional
German
style.
beer traditional here. So that was the passion behind it.
Yeah.
So they brought this vessel in here again just to be a pain in the ass. That's all it is, and it's gonna be awesome. But it'll be cool. I can get to see brewers brewing on it from the tap room.
Yeah. I mean,
and
this
stuff like
place
that.
is amazing. When I walked in here, I've never been here before.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Look at all this over here. It's like
here, this is a good view of our cellar. We have 1,620 hectoliter fermentation tanks. That's a little over 100 barrels, and then 4 60 hectoliter fermentation tanks. And then down there is Carlos checking temps and gravities.
Yeah, and over here on the left, these 4 smaller tanks with the black handles, these are all yeast propagators. So this is where we get all of our yeast ready to go for full-on production batches.
Yeah, so we have 3 strains of yeast at any given time, and then occasionally we'll add a one-off yeast, but otherwise just ale, lager, and our hefties. So we actually, we expanded for projections of capacity, and we're now pretty much, we're very close to full capacity now.
Awesome.
So we're going to be rocking and rolling this year. Excited.
Yeah, dude.
A little terrified. If y'all want, we can take a walk around before we go to the bottle line.
Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that.
Show you, give you a more bird's eye view. A little bit about our cellaring process. The only filtration we'll do is with the centrifuge. That's this little guy down here. Basically, the way the centrifuge works is it spins the beer around so fast, 7,200 revolutions per minute is what it tops out at, and it accelerates the gravity and pulls all of the solids out. The best visual representation of what it does is if you've ever been to the State Fair and you go on the Gravitron, it spins you around so fast and it just sucks you to the side of the wall. So it's the same principle. It spins around so fast that the gravity is accelerated so much that it pulls those solids out and we're able to extract the bright beer. And then we'll bring them into one of these 4 bright tanks along the sides here. Check the level of dissolved oxygen, make sure it's low because we want that beer to be as fresh for as long as possible because we don't pasteurize and we don't do filtering past that centrifuge. And then we'll also check the level of carbonation to make sure it's proper to style and consistent with the brand. And then usually it goes into that room over there the next day. Now, what used to be right here was a bottle line that has been picked up and moved to another building, which we're going to go over to next. I'll show you what else we have here. This is how all the liquid is transferred through a series of pumps and pipes. It looks really simple up there. Down here, you kind of see how it is,
Untrained eye, like looking at the human brain.
Yeah, maybe the brain of the Tin Man, but sure. So obviously the biggest ingredient other than water is the malt. That is all specialty malts are housed in here. So this is all the specialty malt. 90% of the malt we use comes from the 2 silos outside, which is all German Pilsner malt. Some of the beers we do have no Pilsner malt in it at all, so we'll just bag it all in by hand, which, you know, part of the job is hurting your back. So
Yeah.
that doesn't matter.
Is every ingredient you gotta use German?
So I'd say about 80% of the ingredients we use are German. We'll use some American stuff here and there. We'll throw in, like, see we have Rar over there. We like to support them a little bit, but most of even the wheat we use is all German. Environment, the yeast is German strains. Yep. Hops are German, so we use a little bit of American or English hops for collaborations, or if we want to try something a little different.
Yeah.
But the German beers are German. German.
Everything German.
Well, aside from the water.
Yeah, which I was going to ask too.
Yeah.
I think that's obviously a really big deal.
So we don't import our water from Germany because we don't want to charge $8,000 a bottle.
Yeah.
So what we will do is we'll pull the water from the ground and send it through a reverse osmosis system, take everything out, give us nice neutral water. We'll mix that with our mash and then add minerals back in to mimic the water profile of of Cologne for our Kolsch, or Dusseldorf for our Alt, or Munich for our Lager. So we build that water profile here. That's right. Well, not chemically. We just use minerals. Yeah. It's sciencey for sure. It's biology.
It's chemistry.
Yeah,
It's chemistry.
It's chemistry, not biology. Most of my job's algebra, so that's what he's doing.
math guy, chemistry, biology.
or biology.
Oh, he'll tell you where he got his biology degree soon.
Oh, we can get into that later.
We'll talk about it right now.
So, just a little bit about this bottle line. The one part on the left is all canning. The can line is brand spanking new KHS Cinefil canner. Does about 15,000 cans an hour. And then on the right is the bottle line, which we've had since we started. It is a 30 head Leibinger filler. Does tops out about 11,000 bottles an hour. So the way it works is we have, a really good way to put it is we have these nice flat boxes over here. Called Stout Lager. So we put these way at the end on this box shop over here that actually pops it out, closes the bottom, glues it, and then it brings the box down here and then onto this red track over here where it goes all the way down and then it gets filled. You can actually see some red Kolsch cases sitting in there. So the robotic arms pick up 48 bottles and then put them in 2 cases at a time. And then it goes underneath us and gets closed. And then it gets palletized on our palletizer underneath our feet. Same process for the can line. It has a switchback machine on the floor, which will make the packs, close them around the cans, and then they get packed in trays. And everything gets brought underneath our feet and palletized.
So cool.
The only limitation is we can do bottles or cans,
Yeah.
not both.
Okay. Kind of one or the other.
And on a good day, you can run this whole thing with what, 4 people maybe? Probably get it down. to
4
3.
good people.
Yeah.
No, but that's awesome, for going into the business side of it. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's awesome that you have that kind of power.
Well, we're still on the learning curve of the whole new setup, so it's not quite 4 yet.
Anything that keeps me at my desk and not down
It's a
here,
good thing.
I've paid my dues on this side.
Well, yeah, you're in charge of the whole thing now.
Eh.
Yeah, so this is, it's not plugged in because we've been moving it around kind of constantly because of construction. This is what we check seams out for on cans. I mean, seams are probably the biggest weak point for the can itself. Like, I'm sure you've run into a leaking can before you squeeze it, or that temperature change causes it to leak, the beer leak out. And, it's not going to be fresh, pick up infections, things like that. So we went ahead and got a whole system for this. So all the way from like counter sink depth, so the top of like the little part of the seam that rolls down and kind of goes back up. Check the measurement on that. Thickness, we'll cut it open, and then we'll put it in here, and it has a little microscopic camera. We're actually going to check to see everything from like body hook, cover hook, the whole thing.
It's awesome.
And so we're very tight tolerances on this too. I mean, the whole kind of philosophy behind this is get this stuff, do all the testing so we don't have to spend all the money on like a recall.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
the integrity of your product, and then also something that keeps it fresh is important. Huge.
Yeah. I mean, this is something like we pretty much had for what the place we can get. Yeah,
That's also
we got
a lot of people don't have that.
No, not normal. We got one other thing over there. We don't really have to kind of always working around. I don't know, it's a fire. The total package analyzer. So what we'll do with this is we'll put a bottle in here. We can also do cans as well. And when we picked it out, picked it because we could do both. We figured eventually we're gonna get cans.
Yeah.
So you put a bottle in here. This will actually come down. So this has
It's a little Sonicator, so it just vibrates. And the needle's going to come down and pierce, and it's going to tell us how much total dissolved oxygen we have, both like in the beer and in the headspace of that little that empty area right above the beer. We want to get it below about 50 ppb, just to make sure we're in good quality standing. Because if it oxidizes, especially with the type of beer that we do, what you're going to notice, it's going to taste pretty terrible. So we do this every 5 minutes the entire time we're bottling. So as stuff's coming off, we're constantly getting data. And that way, if something comes wrong over here, we go over there, talk to Tim, make the adjustments we need, pull cases off that we know are going to be high DO. Those become like employee beer, which, with good process control, we have to do a ton of that. But yeah, this is probably like my favorite machine in the whole place.
Pretty cool.
Because it's quick, it's like super easy to operate. You just hit a button and run, and then 5 minutes later you have all the data you need. So yeah, so this is really all quality control, except for the stuff down there at the packaging line. So this is kind of like the daily lab. This is where we come in and do all of our daily fermentation checks, check yeast, things like this. So I said that other piece is my favorite piece of equipment. Kind of lied. I love this thing too.
That's your most important piece.
I wouldn't even say that. It's just the one I like the most. I love microscopes. I used to work on electron microscopes and things like that. So this is what we do, cell counts on things like that. It's really important we get consistent yeast pitches, make sure yeast is healthy and viable. So we do all those checks on there. We'll also do, if we get infections or anything like that, we'll do diagnostic work, stain it in the other lab, come over here, do gram stains, things like that. Yeah. Do all that on here. As for all this stuff over here, so we've got a centrifuge that's going to shake stuff. We've got a shaker that shakes things in a different way to get the gas out. You have to get all the CO2 out before you ever get any of it over here. This is the piece I use probably the most. I use this every day. This is just an alkalizer, so this is how we check our alcohol content. Alcohol is regulated by the federal government, so it's really important. We get it right and consistent. And if you have, if our Kolsch's your favorite beer and it tastes different every time and the alcohol content's different, it's not the same beer.
No,
totally. So we really want to be consistent. So we went ahead and got all the equipment to help us check that. I do weird stuff, random stuff in here. I've been force aging this beer in the window.
Yeah, light.
So this is actually Hefeweizen. So if you shake it up, you can get some of that yeast in solution. So this is part of a long-term shelf life study to see how well our Hefeweizen holds up, both in terms of getting struck by sunlight, in a little bit of heat, non-optimal storage conditions. Yeah. And then I'll subject my colleagues to taste it.
I like to talk to people about how the yeast and everything it's a living organism.
Yeah.
And it's very, very important to beer.
Yeah.
Realize that.
There's so many variables that can go wrong with when you ferment. If you do it at the wrong temperature, you're going to pick up off flavors. If you do it too much pressure, you get off flavors. Not enough yeast, too much yeast. There's so many things that happen. The yeast dies off, you get those nasty, bready autolysis flavors. There's so many things that can happen. This we just use to test for IBUs and all that sort of stuff. We test every batch before we go out to make sure it's up to standard. Mostly IBU and color. Other stuff, kind of minor stuff. Computer. That's some hooch that someone made and gave me for Christmas. So this is kind of what I jokingly refer to as the big boy lab, because this is, I think, really separates the lab out. So right here, this is a gas chromatograph partnered with a mass spectrometer. So this is the GC, this is the mass spectrometer. So this is what we use to actually, so you mentioned that buttery flavor, that's diacetyl. So this is what we use to check to make sure we don't have diacetyl in our final product. So this is tank 4, so FB4, the small one over here on the right. This is a batch of hef that we're in active fermentation right now. So we're going to look and make sure that these two little peaks right here adds up to less than 0.08 ppm. 0.08 ppm is the human perceptory threshold of BDK, which is kind of what you call the compounds that give you that buttery flavor. So it's above 0.08 right now. Really for a hef, we'll do usually about 0.1. Either way, it's above that set point, so it's not ready to go. So it's not ready to make it out to market. So we'll do this stuff every day. Come through here, check for these off flavors, and then it's really only once we get it below the level that we're looking for that we can start the cold crashing process, start the lagering process, and kind of move it on to the next part after fermentation. We use this every day. We've got the mass spec, so we use just the GC for that process, but for the mass spec, we can do things like figure out chemicals that we don't know what they are. So if we get some real weird flavors, we can go through and then test it on that and figure out what it is. We had some friends who had some cans that were chemicals leaked through or leached through the cardboard silk sheets into the cans, and they were getting real weird flavors in the finished beer and can. And it detected it. So we were able to go back to them. They were able to go back to their manufacturer and figure out and tell them like, hey, this is wrong. Let's fix it. But yeah, so that's that machine. Over here, we've got our kind of some of our micro stuff. So big part of microbiology in brewing is plating and making sure you've got stuff that's pure and clean. So these are just different samples from tanks. So this is from a yeast slurry. This is from the same tank, but this is from the beer, so higher up. So this is media that's going to look for bacteria. So this is straight from yeast, so any of that stuff you're seeing under that's just dead yeast that's on that plate now. But if there was bacteria, if we had an infected beer, you get all these little dots in different columns.
Seeing it, yeah.
So let's see.
And how long have you been doing chemistry and biology for?
Basically my whole life.
Whole life?
It's always what I was interested in.
Yeah.
Never thought I was going to work in beer for the longest
Yeah.
time. And then, I don't know, it's kind of nice doing all this stuff and then making something tangible that you can enjoy.
Yeah.
So this is what a bad plate would look like. This is something we got from an environmental sample, you know, going around swabbing stuff like on the ground because there's bacteria everywhere. Mm-hmm. So this is stuff that I streak. So it's got a little bit of growth, not a ton, but we know there's pediococcus in the brewery. Yeah. So that's one of those things like, okay, we have to make sure we clean properly and do all that sort of stuff. This is like, honestly, one of my favorite parts of the job is the plating. It's just fun and I don't know, it's really interesting
cool to see. Yeah, it's like cool to see
yeah.
what and the experimentation.
Yeah. And we've got tons of different types of media, so we can come through and plate all these different things and do different tests. Yeah. And then this is part of the micro program too. So this is from Invisible Sentinel. So this is PCR or polymerase chain reaction. Basically what we're doing is, this is like the fast version of this. So what we're doing here is like we'll take a sample,
Accelerates the
prep it, yeah. So basically if there is infectious bacteria like pediococcus or lactobacillus or wild yeast or something, it's going to clone up DNA from those organisms. And then we can test it more readily.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a really cool system. I love it. One of the first things I actually got to buy for the lab, and I couldn't believe they let me buy it. Fume hood, this is where I make sure I don't pass out from chemicals.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah, just kind of assorted stuff.
Start mixing some possibly dangerous.
Well, we've got mixtures. We've got like sulfuric acid in there. We've got all sorts of different higher alcohols. Yeah, it mostly keeps me alive. So
yeah, that's awesome. Going to see the whole chemical side and biology side of brewing.
Yeah, that's basically all brewing is biology and chemistry. So.
Yeah. What was your degree in and from where?
Bioenvironmental science from Texas.
Yeah.
But really, what I do, like, my background's way less interesting, I think, than like what I do now, because that has like not a whole lot of variation.
But if you didn't have that, you wouldn't be here doing this.
Yeah, possibly.
Awesome. Yeah.
Hopefully.
That's cool.
But yeah, that's the lab. There's a ladder here for some reason. I'm just kind of stuck with it.
Hey, you might not be real.
Get over it, bro. You're fine. This is a wine cellar. It's basically just another bar. It's one of the 4 bars we have. Well, 4 stationary bars. Really, the only wine we age down here is in this room over here. All most wines brought actually from California.
Yeah, really good. You got a nice German Riesling in there. I was looking at some of the stuff. We actually checked it out. It was cool.
Yeah.
Y'all have also wine to offer as well for the non-beer drinkers.
Yes.
Yeah. Big time.
Because apparently it's weird. Not everybody likes beer. So this is like the main vibe of this is much like, a little more chill.
Yeah.
A little more speakeasy vibe.
Speakeasy lounge.
Most people don't even know it's here when they walk in.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of direct people down here.
Yeah.
It's a little bit.
And we've got a few different beers on tap and you upstairs.
I'll drink out of worse.
Pardon me. So this is a lager. It is our Munichelis. Definitely my go-to beer for anything.
Everyday light.
Every day. That's not even light. It's like full of flavor. Best part of it, it's got a lot of flavor, nice dryness to it, good carbonation. Doesn't really sacrifice anything.
It's not overly dry too. It's got a little bit of dryness.
Yeah, a little dry with just a touch of sweetness and a little bit of the hops. So a nice malty beer, lager. So we're really just getting good, crisp, refreshing beer.
Super crispy.
Yeah, this one is easily my go-to. It's
Refreshing.
by far my
It's
favorite.
just a super simple, refreshing beer.
Yeah.
And it won gold at JBF this year. If something goes wrong, you're going to taste it or smell it pretty quick.
Oh, you know what? Just to go off on a little tangent real quick. I love y'all's Oktoberfest. this year.
Really? Thank
Oh,
you.
it's amazing. And I'm a big fan of, obviously, German style Oktoberfest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I usually don't do too many of the American ones. I mean, I taste all of them, of course. Yours was like top 3 for me. It was amazing. And I had like at least 40 different Oktoberfests this year, and you guys, it was awesome.
So you're more a fan of the blondes or the Marsons?
Marsons.
Marsons.
You
Yeah.
got both.
Cool. Yeah, we actually do a blonde
Yeah.
version in-house only.
The Martin was awesome.
Thank you
I
very
love
much.
it. Yeah, I thought it was great, and I actually bought more than one. Usually I buy one beer at a time, just because I'm always doing so many and trying so many different ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually bought a 6-pack of that. Just
No shame in that.
yeah, and I was like,
Thank you.
It was really good. I super enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah. That style is really important to get right, and we put a lot of work into it. Which one is this?
This is the Alt.
Central, please.
So this is Altstadt Amber, which is a Dusseldorf style alt beer. So it has that nice, dark, really dark honey, amber auburn color. In Dusseldorf, the old town is called the Altstadt, and that is where the alt beer calls home. So this Dusseldorf style alt beer is really one of my favorite. One of the things that is closest to the heart of Altstadt Brewery. We wanted to get this one right, and I think we did.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to get the amber's the best way to describe it. But when you drink an amber beer, you get that like there's a unique smell to like a red ale, right? Amber ale, you know.
Yeah, so think of it, and again, it is an ale, but the thing about Kolsch's and alt beers is they're ales that are lagered. So they're aged like a lager beer. They're such old styles that they would have wild ale strains in Dusseldorf and Cologne, but they would still lager them in caves at those nice cool temperatures. So while it is an ale, it drinks like a lager.
It's also got beautiful like sweetness, kind of like in there as well.
It sure does, yeah.
Melon sweetness.
Like the
And
malts
melons.
that go into an alt really give it complex, slight characters, coffee, caramel. Not really roasty, but some toast there. But it's just a wonderful
It's
complex
nutty.
beer.
It has a little bit of
A
nut,
little bit nutty,
but not over.
I think
Like-
the color kind of throws people off too, because it's definitely like of the first 3 that we started with, it's definitely the darkest. But it's super drinkable. It just goes down really, really smooth, really clean finish too.
Another crisp,
Despite all those
crisp one as
really
well. But it's a
complex
little more
flavors.
full body than the last.
Sure,
For sure.
Yeah,
A little
absolutely.
more full body.
Just gives you a little something more to think about than the lager does. It's a little bit better for winter time, but it does really good on one of those cool summer nights too. It's a great beer. It's a fantastic beer.
What's the rough percentage on this?
For alcohol?
Yeah.
4.8.
4.8.
4.8 for all
Let's
3.
get some like 5.
So the main thing about these beers is they're all to pinpoint style of the German style, but we want to go on the lower end of alcohol and bitterness because we want them to be more on the sessionable side.
Right.
You know, they're very approachable.
Exactly.
Still world class, but very approachable. So somebody who's used to lighter beers, from the bigger brands, they can come in. They don't have to come in and try that awesome stout that you liked or an IPA.
Yeah.
Somebody who drinks Coors or Bud their whole life and come in, have a lager or even have the alt and sort of be introduced to this whole world of what beer can be, and it won't turn them off. So we're really
Ease them
proud
in
of
slowly.
it. Yeah.
Ease them in slowly is what I always
But
say.
we don't compromise anything on this one
No.
too. Like people need to understand what beer actually can be.
Yeah.
And
how simple beer can be.
how
too.
simple beer can be, but it's
Simple
it's an
but
art
with a
form.
complex flavor.
Yeah. Which one is this?
This is IPA.
So the IPA is fun because the IPA is
Excited about this one.
decidedly not a German style, right?
So, before we get into this one,
Sure.
we're sipping this one, I'm gonna do a little side. What got you into brewing?
What got me into brewing?
Yeah.
Oh, when I So when I was in my early 20s, I had a job I hated so much I quit without any fallback, as someone in their early 20s is wont to do. I had a friend of mine who worked in the warehouse of the Abita Brewing Company, and he said, yeah, you can like get a job there. Like you'll get like $9 an hour, paid like benefits and stuff like that. And I'm like, cool, I'll do that temporarily until I find what I really want to do.
Yeah.
Well, working in the warehouse, and after one day, pretty much, I didn't know this at the time, but everybody had pretty much assumed I just wasn't coming back because that happened a lot. I started with an actual war vet same day. He didn't come back the next day.
Oh man.
Yeah. And he had seen the horrors of war.
Yeah, and you were just like,
that's how rough a brewery and warehouse can be.
yeah, it's a lot of like tedious.
Yeah, it's
little.
But
I've talked to a couple other brewers about it, and yeah, it's not the most fun sometimes.
he also had more options than I did. I fucked up with some of my choices. I had to stay. So I came back, and then your body gets acclimated to, because there are muscles you don't even realize you have when you're working in that warehouse environment. Start drinking the product, and it's like, oh, this is cool, this is different, and then kind of started to fall in love with craft beer. And I think my epiphany beer was probably a Sierra Nevada wet hop ale from the Southern Hemisphere that I got as a Christmas present from somebody who worked there. I'm like, oh man, beer can be so much better than this. I'm sorry, so much better than what I knew it to be.
Yeah.
And really fell in love with it, and then went to the bottle line from there. From the bottle line, because back then this is still in the late 2010s or aughts, excuse me, and walked up to the brewmaster, and you could still train on the job. There weren't a lot more graduates coming out now from actual brewing school, but basically back then, if you showed up to work on time and had a good work ethic, they'd train you.
Yeah.
So, and I lucked out, and he hired me. Started in the cellar. Then started to brew on a 100-barrel Merlin system. So the first time I'd ever brewed was on a 100-barrel system, not a home brew system. So I actually learned how to brew in a production environment.
Wow.
So I'm
I never
somewhat
hear
of an
that.
anomaly, yeah.
Yeah, I never hear that. That's crazy.
And then we upgraded to a 200-barrel system, and then by the time in my time there, I was doing all the pilot brews on a 10-gallon home brew system. So the Bach, nice winter beer. Actually had to brew it outside of winter this year because the demand was so high. So
Really?
yeah, and Bachs are cool because they're beautiful to look at, and then there's a lot of flavor in there. A lot.
Smelling a lot on this one.
But yeah, so the IPA, the Bach that we had is only available here. The Alt Lager available in stores, along with the Kolsch and the Hefeweizen. Light is coming soon. Light, very good light beer.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
Well, make sure y'all come and check it out there, brewery. Make sure you're checking out all my links and everything we're going to put down at the bottom. Make sure you're subscribing, hitting the little ding. Instagram and Twitter, we're posting something new every single day. And then the podcast for Food and Beverage Magazine that I'm doing is on all platforms, so you can check that out. And until next time, guys, we're going to sit here, we're going to drink up a little bit more. So, cheers.
Cheers. Come on, John.
All the way over here.
Cheers.